Now, another very useful tool available to you when it comes to text is paths. Now, remember, you can create a path using a pen, and we've done that earlier in the semester. You can also create it using a shape. We've done that as well, and either is fine. I'm just going to use a custom shape tool and set it to path. Make sure that it's not pixels. And then pick a shape. Maybe, let's see, what would be a good one for this? Let's just do this triangle. So we have a triangle shape, and I'm just going to draw this triangle. Now we have a triangle, and if we go to the paths palette, we can see that it's a working path. We can, of course, save this path in the path palette, as demonstrated quite a while ago, by creating a new path. So if we want to, by dragging it to the new path, I did that wrong. So if we don't want it as a working path, just drag it down to the create new path icon, and it will convert it. Now that said, if we go to our text tool, our standard horizontal text tool, notice when I mouse over, the square around the I-beam turns to a little wiggle line. Now, if I click right on that, you can see that I get some text. It's behaving a little oddly because of how close I was to the corner. So I'm just going to undo that, grab my type tool again, and click over here. You can see that it can type along the path. Now at the moment I'm on the inside of the path. Let me zoom in a bit. Grab the text. But you can see that we also have the ability to highlight it as we always have. And we have the ability to open up our text controls. And with that we can do things like our standard widths and offsets and all that good stuff. So you can increase or decrease spacings. You can move these closer or further apart. That's the kerning. You can move these closer or further apart. You could do everything you normally could. But you also have another control available. If you go over to your path selection tool, you can see that you get an I-beam again with it this time. And this will let you drag it around. So you can also flip it by dragging in or out of a path. And you can control where it ends up. Now, I find this quite useful when I want to have text wrap around shapes. I can simply create a complex path. Oh, that might not. Be careful about bending it around. And once you have that path, you can switch out to your type tool. You can click on it. And type. Now you'll notice that this time I worked directly off of the working path. So if I come over to the path channels, I have the quick brown fox jumps over type path. But I also have this shape. If I throw the shape around, the text will maintain its shape. And I've missed. Let me control click to select the correct layer. There we go. So if I bring up the pen tool, I can see while this text is selected, its secret path. So as long as I'm careful, I can continue the length of the text if I so desired. And I'll just hit escape. But I may need to move this over. And again, a good way to do that is to use your path selection tool. And then I can flip this and drag it as necessary. Or perhaps I will miss and cause severe damage to my text. So watch out for that as well. These lines on either end, and we can see them better. We can see them better here. That's essentially the bounding box on the text. So I need to make sure that I have it far enough in both directions. And I am having a heck of a time, there we go, getting it where it needs to be. Now that the path is longer, I can come in with the text tool again. And finish typing. There you have it. Now you notice it's a little smushed right here. Fortunately, we have tools exactly for that. I can increase spacing as necessary. Perhaps too much spacing. Oh, sorry, that's the tracking. Let me go into... No, the tracking should be sufficient. I can also increase the width if I so desire, which may be more appropriate in this case. I think what I'm going to do is actually click in there and adjust the kerning. Click. So that there's enough space. Just because this is such a tight area, it would probably be good for me. And I use the right arrow key to move over to do this one letter at a time. There we go, and that should do it. Now at this point, I'd argue that it's not particularly legible, so do be careful about that when you're doing type. I'm going to increase the kerning a little bit more, and there we have it. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. This would probably be another good place to adjust the kerning just a little bit. A little bit more. But at this point, now we need to increase the path yet again to get it to fit. So you can see this can be a bit fiddly, and it can take a little bit of time to get it where you need to go, but it's still a great way to type around things, so don't forget that. On top of all of this, you can, of course, add a mask, which allows you to do the usual. So in this case, I'm going to Control-Shift-I, then on the mask, Alt-Delete, and you can see how I can make cuts. So what might be more fun is to come in with just a big brush, and then I can do some fun little cuts on it. And be careful again, you can completely reduce legibility. And don't forget, on top of all of that, we can always use these as a clipping mask for an image below. So if we come over to an image, for example, and I'm just going to copy paste, I could duplicate or a number of other things, and bring it in, I can create a clipping mask. I like to alt click between the layers. Notice that it's not doing what I want because the text needs to be below the image. There we go. And it's as easy as that. So what do you do if you want to have one image working across two pieces of text? Well, if you group them, you can make the entire group a clipping mask. This means that the text remains editable. So let me come in with the text tool, go to my text. Let's do the one that has the mask on it. And let's just highlight it just to prove that. Let's do maybe leave this. Let's do some italics on all of that. There you go. You can see it's still editable as it goes through, even though we've got masks on it and it itself is a clipping mask and it's on a shape. So you can do some complicated things to your text just using some pretty standard tools inside of Photoshop.